The ascent to the highest story is by stairs, and at their side are water engines, by means of which persons, appointed expressly for the purpose, are continually employed in raising water from the Euphrates into the garden.
Hello everybody, and welcome to this video looking at Civilization 6, which has finally come out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It's been around on PC and Nintendo Switch even for quite a while now, and I have been playing it for many years, so a traditional review would not make much sense, and I am not going to do that with either this video or the written review on digitallydownloaded.net. Instead, what I thought I'd do is use this as an excuse to talk about why I think Civilization is such an important series. I have been playing this series since Civ 2, way back when I was a young kid, and would spend entire weekends clicking away at it. And I think it's a very valuable game property, something that a lot of people should play. It's not the most visually dynamic game for a YouTube video, I must admit, because it is that kind of isometric, scaled back, low action kind of experience. But yeah, enjoy some of the footage here in front of you as I chat about this series, because again, it is a very important one to me. And if you haven't seen Civilization 6 in action before, then here's a chance to see some of it. I definitely recommend you go and check it out. Regardless of what I say on this video, you should definitely play this game because it is an amazing game. So the reason that I think Civilization is such a valuable property is because it is fundamentally educational in tone, and it really encourages players to learn about what it's depicting beyond the video game itself. And I've got some anecdotes to, I guess, kind of highlight that. So for people who haven't played Civilization, you can build what are called wonders in the game, which are the major kind of architectural projects that mankind has achieved over the many generations. And they range from everything from the pyramids of Egypt to the opera house of the modern era in Australia. And those wonders are major investments. They take a lot of time and resources to build, but after being built, they give a lot back to the culture, to the nation that you're building through the strategy game. And back with Civilization 2 on the PC, every time you built a wonder, you got this little video clip, which was a cheapish kind of FMV clip, which was about as far as was possible for the games of those days. And those video clips really showed you what the wonder was, and really kind of highlighted, I guess, why it's such a magnificent project. I remember being really inspired by the wonders that I was building in my civilizations, because I had such a buy into them. They were, by the time I finished building them, they were such a project and of such significance to my game that I had taken real ownership over them. And those little FMV clips were kind of the icing on the cake, which made me really interested in learning about those. Back when I was playing Civilization 2 for the first time, I was young enough that the internet was in a very early state and there wasn't Wikipedia and stuff. So I would actually get myself to the library, get books or encyclopedias or whatever it was to learn about these wonders. And some of them, I mean, everybody knows what the pyramids are from a very young age, of course. But some of the other wonders I didn't know about before I started to play the game. So, for example, in Civilization 2, one of the things I built every single time because of the benefits it provided to my civilization was the Hanging Gardens. I knew absolutely nothing about the Hanging Gardens or Babylon back when I first played Civilization. But after playing Civilization, by the end of it, I'd actually learnt quite a lot about Babylon, and I had become really interested in ancient history. So this game was kind of that first point, that first little bit of information that you need to know that you want to learn about something. And that was a really valuable thing to me, especially when I was at school and I was doing history classes and I had to do these projects and things. This game became a resource for me to learn about stuff which I could then put into my projects, and I did quite well in history at school as a result. And on top of that, ever since then I have had a real interest in history my entire life, and I pinpoint Civilization 2 as being the reason for that. And for that reason I've played Civilization in every game since, and every time there's been something new that I've actually taken away from it, and Civilization 6 is really no different in that regard. So to give you an example of where Civilization 6 has inspired me to learn, the most recent expansion, which is included in the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One release, includes the Maori people, the native New Zealand people, as a selectable nation. And when you select a nation, you also select a leader, and that leader represents you in the game for the entire game's runtime. The leader of the Maori people is a character by the name of Kupe, and I really hope I've pronounced that right. I really hope. If I've got it wrong, please do let me know in the comments so I never do that again. But Kupe is a character I knew nothing about. I did not know actually much about the Maori people at all, to be honest, and that is to my great shame, because New Zealand is Australia's next door neighbour and I should know more about New Zealand than I do. But because of this game, I found the Maori people so fascinating, and again, it gave me names, it gave me words to start to learn something about. So I could start to type Kupe into Wikipedia, and I could start to read about him and the legends that have kind of arisen around him and why he is so important to the Maori people and to New Zealand as a country. So again, Civilization was that entry point for me into learning something. And you know, for a game to be teaching me stuff, for a game series to be teaching me stuff 20 years after I played the first one, that's pretty impressive. And that's a good example of how good video games can be, what video games can do to really inspire people beyond the entertainment value of them. And that's why I think Civilization is something that everybody should play. It should be on school curriculums, because it's a very fun and engaging way of encouraging people to learn about culture and history and legends, and even kind of the way that religion and economic systems work. So in this game, there are so many different ways to try to win. You can try to get a cultural victory, you can try to get a religious victory, you can get a domination victory. So you don't need to rely on just building military units and then go into war with everyone. In fact, I never win that way anymore. I very rarely spend time trying to build up my military. I prefer to be peaceful with my neighbours, my AI-controlled neighbours, and make allies of them and stuff. So I generally try to get a cultural victory, but sometimes I'll also try an economic or a diplomatic victory. But the religious system in this one is simplified on how it works in the real world. But again, it gives you an idea of how religion is kind of spread. So you can build apostles and missionaries and so on, and you can send them to the cities of countries that are of a different religion, and they'll preach and they'll convert some people, and then those people who get converted might eventually convert the entire city to the religion. So a powerful religion, and if you spend a lot of money and energy in building up your faith within your nation, you end up being much more influential in terms of the number of missionaries you can build and start to convert other cities. But there's also softer effects, so not just sending missionaries into cities, there's also a system in place whereby if you've got a number of cities of a religion that surround another city of a different religion, there'll be a slow pressure over a number of decades that will slowly naturally convert the city to the more dominant religion. And those systems, again, they're quite simple compared to how they work in the real world, but they give you a sense about how this stuff is organic and free-flowing and how influence works within the real world. The same applies to the way that, you know, kind of trade routes work, or how diplomacy works. There's a system in here to kind of govern how the United Nations might operate in the real world and so on. There are certainly more complex strategy games out there that do it in a much more nuanced way, but as an introduction to all of this stuff, Civilization is a really good introduction, and you can just take so much inspiration away from it. You can learn so much, and you can be inspired to learn so much. As you're about to see right here on the screen, I'm about to convert a city that was unhappy with its previous leader to my nation, because I've influenced that city in a much more positive way over a very long period of time. Couple of 100 turns, and it's about to convert to me. So anyway, Civilization, it's really great. If you haven't played one before, Civilization 6 is very accessible. I know for a fact that a lot of people who weren't previously big fans of strategy games played Civilization 6 and actually walked away with a really positive response to it and to the entire strategy genre. So not only is it an introduction to a whole bunch of history and names and people and so on, but it can also be a really good introduction to strategy games themselves. Anyway, that's me for this video. Please do check out my review on digitallydownloaded.net, which will further expand on some of this stuff that I've been talking about. Otherwise, we will see you at the next video. Thank you as always for watching. Oh, and please do back me on Patreon if you enjoy my videos. That really helps. And do like and subscribe to my videos so you get them all as I upload them. Thank you very much.